Hey, 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 what's happening, gang? It's Clint. I am back with another Versus. Tonight, we have an exciting show for you to be in. I'm loud. I'm having all kinds of weird audio glitches and problems today, but we're going to take it in stride. Yes, sir. Today, we're doing a little thing called Versus, and that's when we put two movies up against each other. Today, we are doing two classics. We're doing Dredd versus The Raid. That is right, folks. Dredd versus The Raid. Two very different movies. Or are they? Yeah, man, I'm excited about this. But before I get Curtis in here to join me, I want to tell you guys, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that yet, because that's how we spread the word about this show, and we work very hard on it, and I would love to have more people here every week. And I just want to say hello to everybody that we have in the chat. We have a bunch of great regulars that join us every week, and we are happy to see you as always. Bobby, what's happening? Also, you can get this as a podcast. So if you don't have time to watch, one day you're on the road or something, hit podcasts, and you will find us there. I'm going to start uploading the show tonight, so you will catch us every week. You're going to notice we have a slightly different format tonight. We're going to talk about both movies, but we're also going to interact with the chat, and we're going to have you guys voting on different topics, and then we're going to talk about it, and then at the end, we're going to keep score. So at the end, we will definitively find out who really is the champion. Alrighty, so we got Dredd versus The Raid. Let's get a little Curtis action in the house. Where's my man Curtis? Boom, Curtis.
Hey,
what's up,
what's
dude?
happening?
How you doing, senor?
What is up?
What is
Doing very well,
up?
sir. How are you?
I think I'm real loud and
I
you're
am
real
doing
quiet, so I'm gonna make some quick adjustments here. It's on me, not
That's all
you,
right.
buddy.
That's
All
all
right.
No worries.
And let's see what we can do here.
No worries.
Yeah. Talk to me, Curtis.
Not a thing.
Talk to me, buddy.
Every little thing
Oh, I got
is
an
gonna
idea.
be all right.
Oh, now I'm hearing so much better. Talk to me.
Yeah, boing, boing, boing.
Oh, you sound like a... Oh, you sound great. Sounds great. Great.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. All right, now it's time to party. So we got The Raid versus Dredd. How you been doing, man, on this Good Friday?
I've been doing well. It's Good Friday, so I was off today.
Awesome.
Woke up, got a haircut, messed around with the kids a little bit, took a nap, watched small screen, and now I'm here. So it
Hell.
was a great day.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you just tuned, I've been driving all day and just running around like crazy, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we're doing this. If you missed it, the name of the show is Versus. That's right. Boom.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, I don't know how I got jumped to the middle of the screen, but let's talk about the movies. Let's start with. Let us start with The Raid. Alrighty. How about that, Curtis? What do you think?
Yeah, let's.
All right.
Absolutely. And the I guess the official title or whatever is The Raid Redemption. I've never heard anybody call it that, and I was actually confused whenever I was telling people last week, like looking it up, because everybody just knows it as The Raid. But I guess that's the title.
Well, let me do the let me read the synopsis for the gang at home who don't know what The Raid. I started wondering. There's like a video game called The Raid. There's some different things. So I'm wondering if they ended up running into some kind of weird copyright issue, so they decided to call it The Raid Redemption to trademark or something. Trademark issue. It's a rookie member of an elite team of commandos, Rama. Who is Iko? How do you say his name, Curtis? I know you're a. Iko Uwais. Iko is instructed to hang back while his comrades in arms go ahead with their mission to take down a brutal crime lord called Tama. However, the team's cover is blown, and Tama offers sanctuary to every criminal in this high-rise apartment block in exchange for the cops' heads. Now, Rama must take command and lead his remaining team on an ultra-violent charge through the building to complete and survive the mission. Basically, the crime lord who's in charge of this building says, "Hey, you want free rent for life? Kill these suckers." And that's what happens. Tell me about the first time you saw The Raid, Curtis. Did
The
it
first time I saw The Raid,
blow your mind?
yes, it very much did. It's a 2011 movie. It probably wasn't till like 2015 that I saw it. I was because I was definitely living in Houston by that time. I'm in Houston in 2013. So yeah, it had been a few years later. So it was an older movie. Now it's a foreign movie, so you know stuff like that. It takes a while to get over here, and so on and so forth. And but my tattoo artist Joe had told me about it, and yeah, like he was like, man, it's just amazing. Like, and I was just blown away. Like, it's just
it's
nonstop
fantastic.
action.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, our buddy Chris Clink, he told us, who sings in Nowhere Bound, the band that I play bass in. He was like, "You haven't seen The Raid?" I'm like, "No, man." He's like, "What are you doing, dude? Go watch The Raid." And I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god! If you like martial arts and ass kicking, if you like ass kicking movies." And you haven't seen this movie, you're completely missing out. Like the martial arts, like it's ridiculous in this movie. I've seen it. I saw it once in its entirety, and then I did a little refresher. I've been pressed for time. I've been really busy, so I had to kind of skim through it this last time. But I still enjoyed it, and I forgot how ridiculous some of the choreography in this movie is. It's insane. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like we'll compare it when obviously when we get to Dredd and stuff like that. But like once they lose the guns, that's when the movie really gets going. Like that's the movie. So
yeah, I kind of took a few notes just as I was going, and I was like, okay, here's what I have for The Raid. Wait till Daddy comes home. Well, in the beginning, the basically commando, basically a SWAT officer. His wife's pregnant, so he's got to get home. You know what I mean? Like that puts the stakes right at the beginning of the movie. And I'm like, okay, so he's going to be desperate to get out of this building. And let's see here. And then he tells his boss, he's like, "I'll bring this guy back." Like they're going in to get the big boss, you know. And they do a whole speech about how this guy is a scumbag. You need to go in and get this guy. As soon as they get in there, they start this thing, they show some pretty brutal executions, which is funny because the other show does the other movie does the same thing, and I'm like, man, are these just copies? Is this a copy of another movie? Like one of these? I need to look at which one came first. Oh, I can see now which one came first. I was like, are they basically copying The Raid? Is that what's happening here? They enter the building. Their big plan is, okay, we're going to go kill the spotters, and then we're going to bust ass and kill everybody on the way up and get this big boss. We see a kid get sniped in the beginning, and you're like, oh, man. And basically, all hell is breaking loose. There's a control room in this building, and there's a control room in the other building, and the big bad boss, pretty much, they establish in both these movies that these guys are bad, just drug lords, and they're super paranoid and have high surveillance in these buildings, and they're in control of these buildings. And basically, the bad guy in The Raid's like, call in the neighbors. And that's when it's getting real, okay? Like, okay, we're aware that the cops are coming in, and we're calling in the neighbors, and the neighbors are basically it's when people start shooting from the outside, and these guys realize they're screwed. And then he announces on the intercom, okay, everyone in the building, anybody who kills these guys, free rent for life. What do you think, Curtis? You gonna go kill some commandos for free rent for life?
No. Who knows if I'm in this situation? If I'm in that situation, like, good God.
I mean, it is kind of a projects kind of a situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea. Like, that's I want to. But see, that's one of the things that this movie has that Dredd doesn't. It's set like nowadays in South Korea. in a straight up slum. It's not set in like a futuristic like, and it's so they're saying like these places exist, and like it has a stronger element of realism to it now. You can do with that what you will, um but at the same time too, like the big bad has his two his right and left hand man, Mad Dog and Andy, which and that Dredd doesn't necessarily have that, but like they end up being big parts of the film, probably like bigger parts of the film than the actual big bad. But like that, yeah, that's I think the realism that this one brings to it can it makes the film pretty damn strong. You know,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that being real. Like you were saying, like what would you do if I was in this situation? I can't imagine that being real. But there are parts of the world where it's real,
Yeah.
or it could happen.
The big bad upstairs is calling the shots. I mean, yeah. And they put the building on lockdown and basically send in all their henchmen to kill everybody, and it's like this, and he also at one point says this, he's like, this is just like an assault on us, like if another rival gang was assaulting on us, we're gonna treat it the same way. I don't care if they're cops or who they are, we're gonna kill these guys, like and it's serious too. They don't go, oh no, it's the cops. It's just like they straight up slaughter these guys.
And you find out at a certain point in the movie that it's a dirty cop coming after him. That's why he doesn't call. Well, first of all, they kill everybody in the truck out. It's the communications truck outside. It's like beginning of it. But and you find out it's a dirty cop too. So he's not gonna like call for backup or something like that. He's there to do some specific job, and which I was never really quite sure of. I mean, but like he's there to do some specific job, and like the bad guy knows, like I'm not. Like let's just fucking kill these guys. Like,
he's like, nope. All right.
Yeah.
You're making a hit on me? Not on my building.
Yeah.
Well, then all hell breaks loose, and it's. I mean, they've already shown you this is going to be serious because and we're going to get to the chat here in just a second. We're going to go over the synopsis of these two movies, and then we'll talk to the chat. It gets serious when somebody throws a grenade into a refrigerator and then flips it around towards the door and then blows the people out from the other side of the door. Like, clearly, he knows that he's seen Indiana Jones and the Legend of the Crystal Skull. He knows that a refrigerator can hold back the blast from a grenade. You know what I mean? He knows. He's like, It stopped an atomic bomb. It'll stop a grenade. And that's when you know it's getting serious, and you're like, oh crap. And basically at 38 minutes, this movie goes apeshit. It goes completely bonkers.
Yeah, and like that's the thing too, when they're like, because and it starts with a squad of about 30 cops, SWAT team, badass cops, right? It's about 30, right, or so, and like they come in and they're throwing down, the bad guys are coming, and like that's the thing too, they're like literally hacking through floors to get back down and out. There's no like running through the halls because there's so many bad guys everywhere. They're like cutting through the floors, to jump up and down between floors of this building to like try and get out. And then it basically like comes down to a handful of guys, and they're split up. Our main character, he's got this injured guy, and then the dirty cop, he's got a couple other guys hanging out, and they got to figure out what to do. And what is 38 minutes? Is that when they lose the gun?
That's right. About after they blast them with the grenades, and they just take to the hallways, and we're like, okay, it's go time, and they start fight. There's a part where he starts fighting everyone in the hallways, and his buddy's injured, and at one point he starts busting people's heads on the tiles in the wall, and he hits it every tile. He breaks it, bam, 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 going down the tiles on the wall. Breaks them with his head. It's really great. And I wrote on that. Yep, all hell has broken loose, and then I wrote down tile LOL. That was my note on that. Yeah, because you just start laughing. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, yeah, that's when it really hits because it's like, they're doing the gunplay stuff and they're shooting back and forth, like, and it's a very American movie at that point. And, we'll talk about Dredd in a minute, like, but then like when they lose the guns, like half the building doesn't have guns like over here, but they come at them with machetes and like knives and like whatever, and then once they start doing that, besides like fighting and stuff, they got some knives and like it's just like in that scene that you're talking about, like he'll stab guys in the leg, and you got your big old artery in your leg right there. But not only does he stab him in the leg, he stabs him in the leg, and he's like, and like rips, their leg open.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he does it like several times. He's like, stab, pull, stab, pull.
Yeah, you're not walking away
like,
from this.
Yeah,
Like,
you're gonna bleed to death. You're gonna die. It's gonna be a slow death. And it's just so badass.
And his buddy, like one of the guys gets injured to where it's like, I gotta get this guy some cover. Like, and they start trying to get away, and he's basically dragging his injured friend. And the bad guys are coming, and they basically have to just start knocking on doors. And they manage to, they wrote it well into the story where there's a guy earlier in the movie that he helps out in the beginning, and so later on, when they're first coming in. So later on, when he's in trouble, not everyone in this building is a douchebag, and this guy goes ahead and with a little bit of convincing lets him into his apartment. And they, and it's cool because every apartment in the projects has a secret compartment, in their room. So they hide them in their wall.
Hole.
Yeah, they're hiding them in their wall compartment. Bad guys come in, chop up the place, wreck the place, slap them around a little bit, and no, they don't find them hiding in the secret compartment in their wall. So he basically says, look, the only way you're going to get out of here is the way you came in. There's no secret passage to get out of this place. Yeah. So he's like, you gotta come out the way you came in. And so he says, okay, you got to babysit my friend, and I'm going to have to go fight my way out and get help. And boy, does he start fighting. Like that's it gets crazy after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he starts going down the hall, and that first fight scene with machetes is awesome. Like where everyone has a machete.
Mm-hmm. And like he fights basically till he just can't anymore. Like he's fighting and fighting and fighting, and he wins, but he's like stumbling through the hall, and like his vision is blurry, and you can like he's just out of it. And then somebody grabs him.
Well, he throws himself out a window first. That was fun, and he lands on the fire escape, starts getting shot at, and then throws himself back into the building, which is hilarious. I'm like, are you kidding me? At one point, he threw this guy across a balcony onto another balcony where he broke his back, where he looked like a tortilla hanging over the side of the balcony. Oh, it's ridiculous. So he gets pulled in. He pulled into a room by this guy, and who is this guy?
Well, we don't know yet, but they cut to some other stuff. But we figure out the way they're talking. They obviously know each other, and well, we actually do know the guy. The guy is Andy. It's the big boss's like brains guy. The brains of the operation. So there's Andy, the brains, and then there's Mad Dog, the muscle, and so. They're talking, and through the dialogue, we figure out that they're brothers, and one decided to be a cop, one decided to be a drug lord, basically, and they both like are trying to convince the other one that they've done the right thing. He's like, "Come on, you just come back. I'll take care of you. You can testify against the big boss or whatever." And he's like, "No, I'm good at this. Like, I'm good at being a drug lord. Like, I am very, very good at this. Like, this is my calling, And then he's like, "But you can come with me. Like, like it's okay. You're a cop. Like, you can, we can figure this out. Like, And the cop's like, "No, that's not gonna happen." So they're not on the same side, but they are brothers. So they have this bond, and Andy's like, "I'm gonna get you out of here. But he walks out, and Mad Dog. Oh, wait, oh well, you want to talk about that, or you want to?
Well, pretty much he gets caught and discovered. The big boss knows that he's, and he says, "Let me see your hands," and he starts inspecting his hands, and also Mad Dog kills some of the other guys, and like that's
Right.
one of the coolest scenes in the show too. Is that like Mad
Exactly,
Dog? Mad Dog has one of the cops at gunpoint, and then he just puts the gun away, and he goes, "Yeah, that's no fun. It's no fun if I don't get the." Like, he's like, I don't remember what he compared it to. That's like something. But he basically said you lose the rush when you're using a gun.
Yeah.
I want to use my bare hands. So he beats this guy to death, and the next thing you know, we're seeing the big boss with his two main guys, and then he calls out to Andy, and he knows what he did, and he's like, "Hey man, the biggest thing you should be worrying about is how paranoid I am," basically. And he showed him
Right.
on the monitor where he pulled him into the room, and he wants to know how he knows this guy and why he would endanger himself for this guy. And he pretty much says, "Fuck you." Next thing you know, the cops show up. Am I skipping anything major, Curtis? Besides a bunch of fighting?
Well, no, not really. Not really.
Not really. They basically fight their way up. The gray-headed guy, and like they fight their
Dirty
way.
cop, yeah.
Yeah, the dirty cop, and he basically fights his way up there, and they get the guy. And next thing you know, the main guy, Yuta,
Mhm.
basically at the end rescues his brother and arrests the gray-headed dirty cop guy, and they're walking out. What were we gonna say, Curtis?
But yeah, before that, the two brothers, so they kidnap Andy, or the Mad Dog's got Andy, and he's just beating the hell out of him, and the rookie cop, who's his brother, comes in, and they both have to fight Mad Dog, and like Mad Dog like has got Andy chained up, like straight up just chained up, and there's nothing Andy can do. He lets the brother come in, lets Andy go, and then he's kind of like separate, like spread apart here, and he gets in the middle of them, so he can kill both of them with his bare hands, and he pretty much almost does. Like,
He's
one of the
badass.
baddest. It's so awesome. Like
It's
he's
fun.
just like
It's funny because these guys are little guys, but man, they're badass fighters. He's a little guy. Like when he
Yeah.
beats up that one cop, like the guy's looks like he's almost a foot taller than he is, and he
Yeah.
whoops his ass.
just demolishes him, and that's what I mean. He already fought that guy Jaka, and then he goes and fight. He lets them both go, and he's like, I'm just gonna kill both of you with my bare hands, and like he's like this close to doing it. But yeah, then they beat Mad Dog, and the dirty cops got the big bad.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny at the end when they're leaving, when they're walking out of that place, because his brother's like, "Hey man, you can come back here," and he's like, "No, I'm good, man." Like,
Yeah, well, he tries to convince him one more time. He's like, "See, like I can make sure you're safe here," like because he tells the other guys, "Just let him go," and he's like, tells him, "Just keep walking." He's like, "I can make sure you're safe here. Can you make sure I'm safe? Where you're going? Like, if I go with you?" And he's like, "No," and yeah, he's like same thing you said. Like the uniform just fits better.
Yeah.
So his brother's gonna be the new crime lord, or
the
drug
new
lord
boss,
yeah.
which is awesome. Which I wonder if that's a sequel or not. But, well,
They-
I know there's
They do
sequels
have a
to
sequel,
this,
yeah.
and that's going to get into one of our questions here in a minute. But well, then let's do a quick run through of Dredd, and then we'll get into game time. All right, Dredd, who I really like the cast. It's got Carl Urban, Olivia Thirlby, and Lena Headey, all great. And there's other great actors in this too. I mean,
Yes, there's a lot of them.
This is like a glorified B movie, but it's but it's good effects, and it was a fun movie. It's Carl Urban, and I really like Olivia Thirlby. She's in Why the Last Man Standing. She's
Okay.
yeah, she's one of the like a EMT in that, and the main character's sister. Yeah, she's awesome. But I didn't realize she was in this, and I was like, hey, I know that girl. She's cool. But anyway, let's. This movie takes place in the future. It's Mega City 1 is a vast, violent metropolis where felons rule the streets. The only law lies with the cops called judges, who act as judge, jury, and executioner. And Dredd, who's played by Carl Urban, is one of the city's most feared. One day, Dredd is partnered with Cassandra, who's the lady I was talking about, a rookie with powerful psychic abilities. She's a mutant. A report of a terrible crime sends Dredd and Cassandra to a dangerous area controlled by Mama, who is Lena Headey, a drug lord who will stop at nothing to protect her empire. So basically, this is in the future, and other than that, it's pretty much the same movie. I mean, it's for the most part, it's the same movie. These judges go in. Now, Cassandra has failed her test to become a judge. She's scored pretty well in several areas, but she does have a psychic ability, which is useful. So instead, and it's funny because Dredd's like, well, she failed by 3 points. What's the discussion, you know? But his boss is kind of like, hey, she's kind of special, you know, take her out for an evaluation, and after the evaluation, we'll see where she stands. And you know, he let her know at the beginning, you lose your gun, you failed. A whole bunch of things, you know, you get killed, you failed. There's a whole lot of things and she goes out and does really well and kicks some ass. And this movie's pretty wild. Like it starts out with executions, just like the other movie. That's weird.
Oh, straight up, yeah.
Yeah. Did you pause when they get flattened?
Oh yeah.
They have a drug in this movie called slow-mo, and the movie pretty much starts out with like they got a call that people are doing slow-mo in a van, so Dredd goes after them, and they're like, half of this movie I feel like is in slow motion, like you know, it was kind of overdone, but they were on this drug. But yeah, they're like an inhaler, and all of a sudden everything slows down to like 1/10 of the speed of normal speed, and so anyway, they give these guys slow-mo and throw them off of a like several stories tall building, like
hundreds of stories.
It's like a kilometer high or something crazy.
Yeah,
like super high building.
Something like that.
But when they hit the floor, I mean, dude, they turn into pancakes. It's really gross. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. It was. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I watched this with my mom. My mom was doing other stuff, but there was a couple of times I was like, "Mom, look away from the TV. You don't want to see this." Like I could just feel it. Like something bad's gonna. Mom, don't pay attention to this right now.
Yeah, like so it was filmed for 3D, or like one of the big selling points of it was 3D, and like for slow-mo, like that's perfect. But it's cool that they worked it into the storyline. It wasn't just like, here's a bunch of slow motion action scenes. Like, it was neat that they made it part of the story. You know, that's the drug, because you could see people really wanting like a drug like that. You know, it would be pretty damn cool. And so like that's where a lot of it came from. But like that's the thing. Like story wise, like this one, like there's a lot more going on story wise than there is in the Raid.
Yeah, there is.
Did it need it? I don't know. We could talk about that.
I don't know. And you know, there's dirty cops in this one too. You know, they deal with that, and you know, the good guys win at the end. Like, it's just, let's kill. We're gonna basically have to kill our way out of here, and they do. And and it's a fun movie too. Um, it's not as fun as the Raid, I don't think, but it's not. This is not the time and place to be
It,
discussing that. So, what were you going to say,
well,
Curtis?
and no, and I was going to say like that's one of the things too. That's one of the reasons we paired it up. Why people wanted to see it, um, because the Raid came out in 2011. This one came out in 2012, and people were kind of already comparing the two. Saying it's the same movie. Basically, we got some badasses locked in a building by drug lords and they can't get out. Um, and because the Raid was so good, this one was kind of largely ignored because they're like, well, I've already seen the Raid. Why am I going to go see that? And honestly, like I had seen the Raid. Like I said, I saw the Raid a few years later, but I even saw Dredd a few years after that. Like I definitely had seen the Raid first. Um, so like the Raid definitely stole a lot of thunder there.
It's Carl Urban. Like he's awesome. But
And that that amazes me because I knew. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
no,
you.
you didn't. You're good.
But like that like I knew the name and but whenever I looked him up and stuff like that, I was like, that's the guy. He just killed it. He did really well.
Him not
So
having the accent is really weird. You know what I mean? Like I'm used to him
well, that's
being
what I mean.
like the butcher accent from the boys.
Oh, that's right.
You know what I mean? I'm used to
Okay.
him having and this he's very like he doesn't have that, and it's really weird to see him that like back then I wouldn't have noticed, but I've gotten so used to him
Right.
being in the boys that it was weird to go back and see that. But yeah, I enjoyed I like everything Carl Urban is in, like for the most part. He's pretty awesome
Yeah,
in that.
that's
Yeah. Well,
and
let's
it was like you never saw his face. Like he kept that mask on the whole freaking movie, and most actors would be like, "No way,"
and
and he just
I feel like he had this face the whole movie.
yeah, he
So
did. He was Dredd.
very serious, yeah. And I really enjoyed the Sylvester Stallone version of this movie.
Me
Judge
too.
Dredd when back in
This
the
one
day.
was yeah. Oh heck yeah.
Yeah. So
This one was definitely more true to the comics, of course, but
and
not
when
that I was a huge fan of the comics. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
me neither, but I was quick to go see it when it came out. Like
Yeah.
I saw it like opening weekend when it came out. But well, let's get into what we're gonna call game time. Game time, and it's where we got Dredd versus the Raid. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to have questions. I'm going to pose these questions in the chat under polls. You guys are going to vote on it, and we're going to talk about these topics for a little bit, and then we're going to hit the chat and see what you guys have to say about it, and then we'll announce the winner. So we're going to see how this works. This is a new thing we're trying out. We thought it'd be fun to do some polls. So, all right. Who had the best acting? What do you think, Curtis?
So if you're talking about what we would normally consider acting, um, the just dialogue and stuff like that. I mean, you got. I would have to say Dredd. There was more actual acting in there, but uh, well, I don't know, stunt choreography and stuff. That's a whole different thing. But uh, yeah, like Dredd had the best because that guy played Judge Dredd. Carl, we just got done talking about it. Carl Urban played Judge Dredd. And the other young lady, Olivia Thirlby, was amazing. I thought I actually was like, I want to see her in more stuff. Her transition from like meek little psychic girl, like and she's so cute and this and that, to by the end of the movie, she's a judge by the end of the movie, and it seems perfectly natural. Like she's like, I went through hell. And she even says she's like, I don't care if I'm gonna be a judge or not. Like I've already failed. Like I don't care. Like I'm just ready to get out of here. And like her transition was from meek little thing to badass was perfectly natural, and it worked. So I would say, and yeah. I mean, I would say Dredd definitely had better acting.
Dredd, I would too, and it may not be fair to do that when you to compare acting when you're dealing with a movie from in another language than your own.
Well,
You
that's
know,
true
we're
too.
sitting here
Yeah.
making judgments, but there, you know, somebody might see a movie in English and think like, oh, yeah, you know, it's like
Yeah.
I've heard people I heard somebody was talking like Squid Game got an award,
Mhm.
and for I think were nominated or something, and they were like surprised that they were in that category. Like they're like that was a fun show, but I wouldn't consider
Yeah.
that but and I was thinking about it with the same thing, and I'm like that's because that movie was in a different language, and like you're either
Yeah.
having to read it or you're having to see hear an
You hear the
overdub.
dub. Yeah.
A dub, and maybe things don't translate the same, you know. So it's an interesting question. I feel like the Raid there that movie was about ass kicking, not
Accurate
acting.
portrayals of the
And I think
situation.
and you can tell they put their efforts where they needed to go because that movie was a serious ass kicker. This movie, fun shoot 'em up movie. Lena Headey was also good. She's good in everything. She plays a good cold hearted you know what, you know. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go Dredd on this also. Let's see if we had any votes in the chat. We are on Easter weekend late at night, so.
Yeah. I was gonna say if something happened, we're not streaming on Facebook for some reason right now.
Oh, they probably kicked us off because we took too long.
Can you just click live?
What's that?
Can you just click live and go?
It doesn't work that way. It'll cut us off. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna do this again. Here. I'm learning as I go here while I create this poll. Best act.
Steady as she goes.
Yeah. We're getting this figured out. Okay. Now. And Dredd. All right. Now I'm going to ask my community, and then we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Best acting and Dredd. Do you have Curtis? Do you have your YouTube up?
My YouTube up? Yep.
Or do you do I'm asking.
Yep.
You do?
Yeah, I got it up. Oh, okay. There it is, right there.
Are you going to vote on here, or do you want to vote? Do you want to have I was thinking.
I just put it in.
Okay, cool. We'll do it like that then.
Okay. There you go.
And you and I are going to vote in here too then. Maybe.
And there's that James guy.
Oh, it won't let me vote. So we're gonna. So you just rigged it. So in the future, you and I will vote verbally, and we'll let the chat vote on the.
All right.
Freaking auto collect. All right. So we'll end this question. James is in the house. How you doing, James? Yeah, do what James says. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. So all right, we got Dredd is going to get it for that. So I'm going to go ahead and
to Vicarium.
What?
Ducking auto collect.
Yeah, so we're gonna give this guy a trophy. So excuse the slowness. I'm trying to streamline this, but it's our first one playing the games like we're doing.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 1 point for Dredd. So we will move on to the next topic. Crap.
What did you vote, James?
Yeah. Did you vote, James?
He says best acting Dredd. I really like Dredd, but there was they own the acting in the Raid. Very subtle and powerful. Did he vote? Did you vote?
Who had the best stunts and fight choreography? There was some fantastic stunts and fight choreography in both movies. So,
True,
boom.
but this one's kind of a takeaway. This one's kind of,
I
or
mean,
we'll see. But
all right. Who had, this is the time when I end the poll.
yeah, I like this one's Dredd is a very good movie, but when we're talking about stunts and fight choreography, I mean, it's hard to think of a lot of movies that could compare to The Raid in that category. Um, and in Dredd, excuse me, they had their guns the whole time. So there was fighting, and there was some fight choreography, and definitely a lot of stunts, but um, yeah, The Raid is just pretty much at a certain point all fight choreography and stunts, and it's amazing for you know the last hour or whatever.
It's unlike any movie I've ever seen. I've heard people
Mhm.
call that the best like live action, or not live action, but best action martial arts movie ever. Like some people argue that's the great. It's so ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, because it's just nonstop. At a certain point, it's just fight scene after fight scene, and it doesn't get old. It's not like it's like, oh
Hmm.
god, here it's like you know oh wow, it just keeps topping it itself, and like I just rewatched it, and I had, and so here's the thing, like so whenever I first watched The Raid, I was like, oh man, that was awesome, and then so I watched Dredd a few years later, and I was like, this is like The Raid, because that's I hadn't seen Dredd, and again, my tattoo artist was like, he's like, you need to check it out. He's like, it's like The Raid, it's pretty badass. And so I watched it, and I was like, that is like The Raid, but it's just better, you know. But I hadn't seen The Raid in forever, and so I rewatched The Raid, and I was like, well, wait a minute, the Raid's like better, and then I rewatched Dredd, and like it was just back and forth, back and forth.
Dude, it's so good. It's ridiculous. All right. So who had the best choreography? The winner is The Raid.
The Raid.
So which one had the best story?
So with this one, like honestly, the Judge Dredd had more of a story. I mean, The Raid is they got a dirty cop going to do something. Get like I said, I'm still not even sure, about what he was trying to do, but he's going to do something, and they end up with two brothers finding each other and stuff like that, and that works well for the story, but it's a little convenient. Um, like Dredd had more of a story going on. They got this psychic rookie cop, and Dredd the character. Like we know him, or well, most people know him, and like at the beginning of the movie, like he's ready to fail this, this young lady.
Yeah.
He's just like he's like he can't wait to fail her, you know. And like I said, she shows so much growth. Uh, Dredd does as well by passing her at the end, because he was ready to fail her at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, she earned every bit of this badge.
Oh,
Whatever the rules are.
also when she's in the other room and like the supervisor is like showing Dredd what she can do. She's like, yeah, there's two of you in there. There's a judge in there. He blah blah blah. He feels this way, but also underneath he feels like she starts noticing something like deep in him. You know what I mean? And then she was like, "That's enough," and like shut her down. But she could see deep inside. You know what I mean? Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I also thought it was kind of cool where like she would get into the people's heads, and I thought that was cool. Where you get like some of these scumbags would start to try and play mind games with her. You know what I mean? And she made the one guy piss himself. That was pretty awesome.
And just like you have not as much as I would like, but in the raid, um, no, to be fair, you don't need as much story in the raid. Okay, we can admit that. But like in the raid, the big bad or the big boss is that he's the big boss. That's his thing. His the brains. Andy has a story, a backstory that we learn about and stuff like that. But the big bad's kind of just there. Like whereas Mama in Dread has a backstory. We understand her backstory. I wish, like honestly, like if they would have put more of it, and she's just so great at it. Like you get to understand like that
Yeah, it's
world.
her backstory is wild, man.
Yeah,
She was a prostitute who gets cut up by a drug lord, and she ends up going back
like
and
mhm,
like basically castrates this guy and like and kills him and steals his empire basically. And
yeah.
she becomes so ferocious and violent that she ends up taking control of his empire and becomes a lord of the of this building. Yeah, she's pretty heavy duty character, man.
And
So
again, story wise, like the only thing I could say about that, or I don't know about the only thing, but like what the raid has on it is that it's like that could happen. Like it's not set in the future. It's not, it's set nowadays in a different country. I mean, it could potentially happen in this country, I guess, but like like it's something that could happen or has happened, maybe, like nowadays.
well, I'm gonna have to give the award on that one to Dredd because I think it has I think it has just a more complex story,
Yeah, definitely more complex. I agree with that.
All right. So right now,
Ooh, we got Dread in
Dredd
the lead.
seems to be in the lead. All right, I gotta
Snap.
get on. I gotta go get rid of that question. Now, if you were on a flight and they only had one movie, which movie would you pick? Would you pick Dredd or would you pick The Raid?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go the raid. Uh, Runtime, they're only about 6 minutes apart. Let's see. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? No, yeah, 6 minutes. Actually, the raid is longer. So the raid is an hour and 41 minutes. Dread is an hour and 35 minutes. It did not seem like that at all. I would have assumed that the raid was a shorter movie. It's longer by 6 minutes, but I mean they're pretty dang close. But it goes so fast, like and
You talking about The Raid?
yeah, the raid and not a lot of it, but parts of Dread, did feel a little bit slow. Um, I can't say that with the raid. Like, it's not like they have exposition dumps. There's a couple dialogue scenes that kind of give you what you need and you move on. Um, so, on a plane, if an hour and 41 minutes and it feels like it went by like that, I'm probably going to go the raid.
Dude, man, that's a tough one. Sometimes I like sci-fi, but some of the violence on this movie, it was like gratuitous. You know what I mean? It's like
Very much so. Yes.
it's one thing to like have some badass martial arts, but just like gratuitous. Sometimes I don't necessarily need to see that. I know I'm a weirdo. A lot of people are like, "Why?" I like to see that.
Yeah.
I
I like to see it, but at the same time, like I was watching the raid, and if my kids walked in, they see some guys fighting or something. I was watching Dread, and my kids walked in, they might see somebody getting skinned. That's
yeah, and that's
like okay, that's a different story.
But I could watch
And on a
Cassandra.
plane,
Yeah, your kid's got to sit tight. I mean, I could watch Cassandra for a whole flight. Like, she's awesome.
yeah,
I'd like to see a spin-off movie of her using her psychic abilities to kick some
hell
ass.
yeah,
That'd be
for
awesome.
real. I mean, like,
And so far on the votes for on a flight, would you rather see? I've only got one vote, and so far they're saying Dredd. But man, I'm telling you, the Raid. That's
Fair enough. Fair enough.
fair enough. And so we got. It's you and me, and the poll is the 3 votes. So we got to see who who would you rather see on a flight? You said
I'm going the Raid. Yeah, I'm going.
I'm going the Raid too, man, because it's all killer, no filler, dude. That movie is ridiculous. It's like the whole way through, action packed, good times, bad times.
And that's the thing. Like sometimes you'll be watching something, especially now that on flights you can watch, your own movie. It used to be you'd all watch the same movie, and it's the worst family. It doesn't bother anybody movie, like the worst piece of crap movie in the world. Like they were always theirs. But nowadays you can pick your own movies on flights. They have a certain library, but you can pick, and you'll notice other people watching your movie. Like with Dredd, maybe, but again, like since it does have a better story or a more intricate story, like if they're not listening, you can that's harder to imagine. With the Raid, like people are going to be watching that from like 5 seats over, and they don't have to hear anything. They're going to be like, "Oh my god, what movie is he watching?"
Yeah, that's what Bobby's like. Don't want that much violence on a flight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. You better not watch either one of these. That's some serious. All right.
But it's like different kind of violence. It's not sadistic violence in the Raid. It's just straight up violence.
It's just
fighting, yeah.
That fun violence. It's a yeah, just
It's gratuitous in certain scenes, but not like just sadistic and mean violence.
All right. Okay. It's starting to get close. Now we're tied.
Okay, all right.
We're tied. Which leads us to the next question. Who had the best cast? Who would you say had the best cast? That's tough. I mean, I think they're both appropriately cast for what they are.
Very much. And here's where it comes down to, like, it's hard to talk about that because like I still like, we talked about Dredd has a better story and the actors I think do more. Okay, and again that could be lost in translation, or that could be me. I'm an American. That I understand the American movie better, or however you want to think about that. But at the same time, how many people can you find that can do what
exactly
these people do? In the Raid, like that can just do that. So yeah, they might not be Shakespearean actors, but like Carl Urban ain't doing that stuff, like Olivia Thornbill or whatever her name is. She's not, doing all that stuff. Like, and that's the thing, when they're fighting Mad Dog, they're taking bumps on concrete, like straight up.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I was a wrestler, like to take a bump on the concrete, it sucks, and they're doing it like left and right. And I'm sure they, took breaks in between or whatever, but it still sucks. Like
breaks between bumps.
I mean, yeah, but like, like I don't see them. Maybe they did, but I don't see them green screening any like, pads out. Like I didn't like you couldn't see that. Like that was just a concrete floor, like, and they were just taking some bumps on it, and it sucks. Like even though you learn how to land and stuff, it freaking sucks. And like they were just doing that left and right in that scene like it was nothing. And yeah, to get people that can do that is God. So that's tough.
It's very tough. And the main character on the Raid, like him being in the closet and that blade hitting it, like
Eddie, yeah.
he's perfect for that role. Like he's just, and I've seen him in other movies where I'm like, oh, it's dude from the Raid. You know what I mean? Like you get excited because he's just awesome. And that's what you want with a movie, an action movie like that. You want a charisma and a look that where people see you and they're like, yes, it's that guy. You know what I mean? It was, I believe in Snake Eyes. I think that's where I saw him.
Oh, he was in Snake Eyes? Ooh.
I think so, and they didn't really use his abilities. I think it was him.
Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't.
Yeah.
You got some badass martial art actor, and they're like, "Hey, this is an American movie. Just
Clink.
Hang out." Whoa.
I believe it was him, and I was like, oh, but they didn't use him. Clink will probably correct me later. I'm probably way off. I'm not quite the martial arts movie guru as you guys are. I like action movies and stuff, but I'm not in it quite as much as you guys.
But to be fair, I don't remember any of their names any of the time. Like, I mean, besides like Tony Jaa and like some of the bigger ones, I don't remember their names. Not to be rude, but he was in Stuber, apparently. Which I haven't seen. He was in Snake Eyes. Yes.
Okay, I thought that was him, and I was like, "Oh, the dude from the Raid!" I sat up in my seat when he came. When he shows up.
It's go time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean,
so
as far as cast goes, I like Lena Headey is awesome. I liked.
Yeah.
I like Cassandra. Honestly, Carl Urban, he was such a straight-faced, neutral guy. Like,
yeah.
How important do you think he was?
And that's what I think. Like, whenever I think of cast, I was like, could somebody else have done this? Okay, so the big bad in the Raid, you could have stuck some other guy in there.
Anybody, you stuck me in there.
The same movie. Yeah, it would have been the same movie, and just as good. However, if you take Mama out, the actress name, I'm sorry, I forgot. Like she's like that's a different movie. Like she nailed it so well.
You can call her. You can call her Sarah Connor or Cersei Lannister. Yeah? She played Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones too.
See, I didn't even connect those two because she did so well. Like and heroes are defined by their villains. Let's be honest. Like, it's the reason Batman's awesome is because he's got such a great cast of villains. The reason Spider-Man's awesome, he's got a great cast of villains. Heroes are defined by their villains, and Mama kicked ass in this. So,
what about Mad Dog? Mad Dog. There was no Mad Dog in this movie. In Dredd, there was no Mad Dog.
No, and that's the thing. He definitely was a character. Like that's the thing. He wasn't just a stunt choreographer guy. He was a straight up character. Like he had a character. And oh, okay, good point. Wow. Honestly, I would say Carl Urban did a better job than the main character because I mean the main character was fine, but
of the Raid.
Of the Raid. I mean, not choreography wise and stuff like that. Like again, finding somebody who can do that is hard. But like, if you found someone else that could do that, again, same story. Plug them in. But yeah, with Mad Dog and even Andy, like Andy had a better, was a better. Man, damn, this one's hard.
Yeah, because you got it. Like you did have some good characters in this. The gray-headed dirty cop, I could care less. There was a lot of people in that in the Raid that you could care less, but there was a couple that were like, but I think overall
they were such strong characters.
Yeah, they were strong. I think Mad Dog is the favorite. I'm like, dude, I'm ready to see Mad Dog in some more movies. But
right,
Yuta,
the rise of Mad Dog,
Yuta and Mad Dog versus a whole bunch of other people in Dredd. I'm gonna have to go with Dredd on this one. I think.
I think so too, and it might be, we're Americans and it's an American movie, so but it just, like.
I mean,
again,
dude,
could you replace them with somebody else, and it'd be the same movie? I don't think so with Dredd. With the Raid, for certain spots, not so much, but still, like probably if as long as they could do the fighting, probably could.
We're giving it to Dredd. Sorry, Raid. Oh boy. I mean, but you know, on the best choreography, we gave it to the Raid. So you know,
yeah,
certain movies are gonna have certain
out of the park.
All right, let's see what else we got here. What other questions here? Best cast? We just said that. Silly, but we got. Which one of these is the best date movie? What?
I'll tell you. If you get a date and you bring a lady home or over to your house and you're like, we're going to watch either one of these movies. This is what we're going to watch tonight. And she sticks around, keep that girl. Just keep her. Because you're set for life.
This is true. Either one, if that's pretty much what she's like. I'm going to let you hang out with your guy friends, okay?
Yeah. She's like, I wanted to watch You've Got Mail. And you're like, we're going to watch The Raid and Dredd. Double feature. It's like true romance. You want to take me to a Kung Fu movie? I want to take you to 3 Kung Fu movies.
Exactly. It's exactly true romance right there. Really? 3? You are the one. Are you sure you're not a prostitute?
Yeah.
You sure my boss didn't hire you to hang out with me? Because you're going to watch the Dredd and the Raid with me? That's a tough one, man. The best date movie, though, I feel like The Raid, because it's not in English, there's reading going on. I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I have a feeling this is gonna be one of the ones where
let's say you're dating, you don't know this girl, you take a girl on a date, you don't know if she's like into that stuff,
it's like, and I'll say it like if you had me in watching Bridget Jones' Diary or something, and it's boy that now I'm really if I had to read it, I know I'm really digging a hole. I feel like this is one of the we're watching The Raid in the theater. I feel like that's one of those movies where she's gonna say, "What's going on?" In there, you know what I mean? Like,
why are they fighting again?
What's going on?
Every 5 minutes, why are they fighting again?
Yeah, it's one of those, and I'm like, this guy is a bad guy, and they're all trying to get him. Yeah, but why are they fighting? Why don't they just call more police or I don't even know because I can't read because you're asking me what's going on in the movie and I missed what they said and we're in a theater because I can't rewind. This is a terrible idea. Can we go watch something else? Let's go see if they get another movie.
Clint's like,
I'm getting a nosebleed just thinking about it.
Can you just quietly leave? Excuse me, what is it? Can you just leave?
I'll be
leave.
Yeah, bad idea. So
no, don't do that.
At least Dredd is pretty to look at. You know what I mean? It's like, except it's so gross.
Well,
it's so gross. I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to see this.
Gratuitous violence. But at the same time, it has 2 very strong female leads as well, which The Raid, I don't know if it has any female leads.
That's true. There's no female leads, and I think that people would latch on to Lena Headey. They like her because of Cersei, and they're gonna like her because she was done wrong and she went back and got vengeance on that guy, and now she's in charge.
Badass.
Yeah, she is a fucking badass in this movie, and beautiful woman, in real life, and even with those rotten teeth that she's got going on, or crusty teeth, she's still stunning. And so is Cassandra, and she's a badass too. So, and she starts getting messed with by some dude, and not that anybody's got some vendetta against guys that they have to have a strong woman in a movie or they're gonna, but it is fun to see some douchebag
Of
criminal messing with a girl, and then she makes him piss his pants. That is kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
She's like, I don't need Dredd to save me, because you keep thinking, oh, when's Dredd gonna save her? When's
Yeah.
Dredd gonna save? And she's like, I don't fucking need Dredd to save me. Like, she saves, and she saves Dredd. She saves Dredd's ass. Like,
I think this officially became the better date movie. I think that just won in my mind. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, I don't want to say yes because Dredd's already got the lead, but yeah, better date for
Better
what
date
we've got.
movie.
Better date movie. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
As long as she can get past the, gorific violence scenes, which they're not everywhere. Like, we don't want to make it seem like they're everywhere, but there are certain scenes.
It's
like,
pretty bad, dude. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. But then yeah, you're golden.
All right, man. Dredd is just cleaning up. Just cleaning up. We're gonna do a last vote at the end.
Oh no, I knew. Okay, go ahead.
All right, in that poll. Man, I can't wait till we have 1 million subscribers, and I have a guy that does this for me. Which one is a better Christmas movie? What the hell are you talking about? This is the stupidest question I've had all night.
I don't know. Is it?
I mean,
that's always a good question.
I put a question up with no question. But man, I really screwed this up.
No, that's all right. We can put it up there.
There we go. Now we have to talk about this for 5 minutes and find a way to tie this in.
Well,
hold my beer.
Again, I could see it being Christmas Day, and you wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning so the kids can open presents, and then after Dad's done putting them together, after 1 or 2 in the afternoon, you build all the crap that you bought them throughout the year, and you had a few beers while you're building it, and it's like, I want to watch I want to watch a movie. I want to watch a man's movie. I don't want to. I've been watching Rudolph and Frosty and all this crap for a month now, and I could see it. We've already watched Die Hard. Of course. So it's like, all right, what are we gonna put on? And so it comes down to Dredd or The Raid. I'm gonna put on The Raid because my kids aren't gonna watch Dredd till for a while. Like,
Dredd's got a couple of things. You got somebody that basically emasculated a crime lord with their teeth for one. You've got a scene where you got like the one guy is seeing the other girl naked. So if you got little kid, like, they're like almost about to be sex scene kind of suggestive thing there. I know that's hard to be in a room with your family with, because that popped up on the screen while my mom was in the room. I'm like, Mom, look away! Don't look at the TV, Mom. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, and so
where's The Raid?
Just some
bad guys,
butt kicking, dude. It's just this is just a martial arts flick, and I think for Christmas, I think that's better. Now,
right?
You could have Judge Dredd toys though, unwrapped on Christmas.
True, but
I think we're gonna give this point to the. We got to vote for Dredd on Christmas, but we got
somebody's trolling.
Finally, but we got you and I, so that's 2 against 1. That's the good part, is the chat is the tiebreaker. If you and I are locked, the chat breaks the tie, but it's you and I versus the chat on this one. So we're going to give this point to The Raid, and also I'm glad because I don't want The Raid to get spanked. You know what I'm saying? I really like The Raid, and so this is a good Good way to not let the raid get spanked.
And yeah. To be fair, like some of the questions, like I was thinking about padding the questions for Dredd because I was like, the raid's just gonna win.
It's just going to
Like,
clean house. But I wanted to have stupid questions, which reminds me, guys, in the chat. If you got any questions, you got to message us or put them in the comments or something where you be like, hey, on your next one, ask which one is likely to disappear. Like you can't get it on, I don't know, or which one is likely to get banned, or which one is any random question that we could ask on this show, and we'll create a card for it. And I don't care if we're talking about Lord of the Rings or Ant-Man. We're gonna start throwing random stuff in here, and if the questions don't make sense, we'll just make them make sense and have fun with it. So, yeah.
And if we can get a randomizer too. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Bobby says, I guess kids wouldn't care about story, and yeah, they really don't. If it's not an action sequence or a song or a music sequence, like my kids don't care yet. Like, at 5 and 7, yeah, like it. If it's a song, my daughter's up dancing around and loving it. If it's a action sequence, my son's all about it. If it's dialogue, they're like, Matt, we're gonna do something else.
All right. Well, let's see here. Next question is, which one is the best movie to cheer you up? Okay.
So with this one I would definitely give to the Raid, in my opinion. Again, the plot of the movie, or the whole schmear of the movies is kind of the same. At the end, though, these brothers do reconcile. Maybe that's why it's called redemption. I don't know. Like I don't know who's redeemed necessarily, but they do reconcile their differences. They do come together to fight. The bad guys, and even though they part as enemies, these two brothers as enemies, that's a classic storyline. But they do part as enemies again. Like they do come together to fight a greater evil, I guess you would say. And one of the greater evils is from the drug lord, and one of the greater evils is the cop. So it's not like either one of them is necessarily right and or wrong. It's two different worlds they live in. And Dredd can be a bit of a downer a lot, especially since it's a future scenario. So I would say the Raid cheers me up more.
I saw nothing uplifting about Dredd. Dredd was like fun to look at, like it was interesting. It was visually stimulating. It was fun when there was a harsh kill, like, oh man, and that was like, but really it was like the only uplifting thing in that entire movie is at the very end when Dredd says she passed. Yeah, that's it. Kind of when Cassandra makes a guy piss himself, I was like, yeah, she's badass. Like there's a couple of cool things like that.
Period.
Yeah.
Her character is, the hope of the movie, but like they spend the whole movie just trying to squash it and her. Like,
yeah, and I think that's Judge Dredd's job, is to go around squashing everyone's hope and handing out justice to the world. You know what I mean? So, I definitely. Which one is a better cheer you up movie?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I hadn't seen the Raid in years. I mean, not years, but about 2 or 3 years. And I'm so glad I rewatched it. It might turn into one of my cheer me up movies. Like it's because you just can't help but like feel it. Kind of like whenever you're sitting there, you're watching the movie, and then all of a sudden, and you just kind of notice your body's kind of going like this. Like they're all fighting and stuff, and you're just kind of wiggling a little bit. Subconsciously your body's like, yeah, exactly, your body's kind of like it's one of those movies. Um, and Dredd just he shoots the guys, he kills the guys. That's it's an awesome movie. But yeah, the Raid is definitely cheer you up, get you moving, get you going.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we went back to watch that again. Well, the winner on that last question was The Raid, which, what an amazing comeback. Uh-oh. But which movie is better looking? Crap.
So that Dredd's probably going to get this one. Let's be honest. Let's look at the budgets. Honestly, it's probably going to win by default, but because it is besides it's a ugly scenario, but it's a very beautiful movie. Like, um, the director, even I was watching some interviews and stuff before, and he said that one of the reasons he chose slow mo as a drug um, was that it would. He was like, everything looks beautiful in slow motion. He was like,
Yeah.
that's why he chose it, because he's like, so people with these shitty terrible lives, like, everything looks beautiful in slow motion. So uh that's one of the reasons he chose it, and it kind of really does. So Dredd looks amazing, but the Raid as well does. um in That's what I mean, like, what they were able to do with limited budget and limited. And when you say looks, or seeing those people do that, there may have been wire work, but it didn't. Like, a lot of the time, it's noticeable when there is wire work, and it
Yeah, I
did
don't think
not
there was
seem.
wire work in this movie.
It really didn't seem like it.
Uh-uh.
So looking at stuff like that, um, has to figure in as well.
Yeah, and again, like,
The Dread was
some of these
45 million.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Some of these questions, though, it seems like, hey, that's not a fair thing because this is a different kind of a movie, and it's like, no, it is a fair thing because some of these, but some of these questions apply to the Raid more than they apply to Dredd, and vice versa. Like, as far as fighting choreography, there's not a lot of fighting choreo. There's in Dredd, as far, you know what I mean. Like, there's no way it's gonna win that,
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is it's each movie plays on its different strengths,
Right.
and they couldn't do a lot of the stuff that they did in Dredd in the Raid. However, they could pay some guys to take some concrete bumps for hours and hours at a time.
What was the budget on that movie? Did you find that
The Raid, it said 1.1 million.
Wow. Well,
So
it was like 48.
Dredd was 45 times what it was on the Raid.
Now, if you put it quality per dollar,
wow.
if you divide it up, the amount of quality per dollar, that's like when you're looking at groceries and you're like, the price per ounce is,
Yeah. Exactly.
It's better to get the bulk because you get a better deal on this or whatever. No, Mom, it's the same price. Look, it's the price per ounce. Yep, the price per ounce on the Raid is pretty high because it's a quality movie that keeps on giving.
But
you know what? For me, I'm gonna give it to Dredd, and I want to give them props because, like, at times this movie looks like a B movie. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah.
But at times it's beautiful. Like, they did a really good job on the graphics and just the cool things. Like when especially when Lena Headey at the end, Mama gets thrown off the thing at the end. You know what I mean? And anytime they do the drug and with the slow mo, it's a really really good looking movie. It's like, as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it just better looking, like visual candy. It's got to go to Dredd. I mean, the raid has all that other stuff going for it, but you now that you could see 10 movies that do it as well as the Dread. I'm sorry, I've been saying the Dread and
The Dredd.
not that you can see 10 movies that do as well as the Raid, but you can see 10 movies that have some amazing martial arts in them in a year. You know, uh, but to see like what they did with Dread, um, you know you're not going to see that. If it had some cheesy CGI monster that they're fighting or something, you're going to see that 50 times a year. But what they did, and a lot, they did do a lot of practical stuff as well too. It wasn't just CGI, in slow mo. So I would have to go with Dread on this one.
I'm gonna agree with you on that, and the votes say the same thing. So we got another trophy for Dredd there. Which man, Dredd coming in hot on the ending because we're running out of questions here. All right, let's
snap.
Oh snap! Let's see here.
Actually, that's a snap and a half.
Which one had better characters? These are kind of generic questions. I'm going to confess that.
The first go.
Yeah, first show, and I was throwing this together. We were running behind, so I just threw up a bunch of questions.
Better characters, got to be Dredd. I mean, like I said, I really like the Raid, and the storyline works out, but to me, it's a little convenient, especially that they didn't know that they were brothers, or they knew they were brothers, but if it had delved into that a little more or something like that, and been like, man, I gotta go, attack my own brother's building or whatever, or my brother's coming in and that's my, like then maybe, but the Dredd actually has defined characters, and if you think some, I've heard arguments. Some people are like, yeah, the whole psychic thing is stupid. Like why would they even put that in there? Like, well, fair enough, but like it's still a defined character. That's her character role and arc. But like,
are we playing Mario Kart?
I really want to. I just like, I really want to. But I'm rebuilding my laundry room now, so that's what I'm doing all these weekend.
Yeah. I mean, let's be fair. They made a badass action movie that was a fighting movie, and they're like, let's throw together a concept. Okay, this guy's in a. What do you think? We got a crime lord in a building, and they just have to kill their way out of this building. Okay, cool. And then but then they did it on the other movie. But the other movie's got a whole background, a whole comic book supporting it. So this is a stupid character. I mean, this is a stupid question, honestly. Better.
No, it's not. It's not stupid. It's a good question. I mean, it's a good question for any movie. But
yeah.
I mean, like,
I'm gonna say there's better question. I don't want to say it because I don't want Dredd to win. Honestly.
I don't want him to win either, but it like from that question, even if you just break it down to Mama was a better villain. Like she was an actual character. The other bad guy was a bad guy, and that's it. His henchmen were better characters, but like if you compare the two, those are the two, bosses, and like just Mama was an actual character. He was just there.
Yeah, you're right. Let's. Another damn trophy for Dredd. This is not looking good for the Raid. Chris Klink, if you're upset that the Raid is getting beaten by Dredd, you should have stayed up and voted.
Yep.
You could have tipped the scales on this. Damn it. What else we got here? Get that out of here. Which
Oh,
movie
well.
made you want to take karate lessons more? Now we're talking there, folks. Now we're talking. The Raid making a comeback.
Yeah. Definitely the Raid. Again, like I didn't notice how much. So I liked the Raid the first time, and then I saw Dredd, and I was like, "Oh, this is like the Raid, but better." But then rewatching the Raid, I was like, "This like once they lose the guns, like that's when the movie goes. Like it's the Dreads, they've got the guns throughout the whole movie, and it's a shoot 'em up, and it's fine. But like when those guns are gone, like that's when the movie kicks ass and gets started, and it's like you know like we've talked about before, like medieval battle shit, like splitting, really killing somebody, not like
Yeah.
bang bang, like really like killing somebody.
Dude,
And
what's the bad guy's name? Mad Dog? He's like straight up, yep, let's get rid of the gun.
yeah,
Let's
he,
kill with our hands. Like,
yep, this stupid thing. Like he's like, yeah, he
and
hates it.
that fight scene in the hallway with the machetes was crazy because he's like fighting somebody
It's
here and then
insane.
somebody's
Yeah,
coming at him with the machete and he has to take him out with his feet
and
and then he's like, it's the other guy and then they're like, bam. It's just like it's like it's like they're aware of every direction at once.
it's not like the old. I mean, if you really break it down, whatever, but it's not like the old like Bruce Lee movies or whatever, like where it's like they kind of fight him one at a time. Like there's like two or three dudes rushing at him, and he's like turning one dude to get slashed, and like then blocking this one, and then like it's insane. Like
I wonder how much practice they do for that choreography. You know what I mean? Like
it's got to be
because it's like they're like wham 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 wham. You know what I mean? Like it's like they have every move on both sides choreographed. Because if they didn't have it in steps, you know what I mean, on every single move for all of them at one time, somebody would lose a hand. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you would have an eye put out. Like it's crazy that how they do that.
Well, it's like I think it was Clint that said, movies over there have the I guess acting director, and then they have the fight director. They have two separate directors, and it's like it shows because like that, to be able to do that, like it's got to be like just running an 8-minute match, like unless you've got two straight up pros, like you can hurt somebody real easy unless you've rehearsed it a little bit, like, and that that's just a little bit, and with standard moves, and they're doing all this stuff like kicking off of walls and crap like that you know it's insane. So they've got to rehearse that a lot. I mean, I would imagine, and that's the thing too. Like whenever you look at American movies, and like there was one, it was for the Rise of Skywalker or something like that, in the fight scene, like when they're fighting the Imperial what do they call it? Imperial Guard, the guys in the red.
Yeah.
Imperial Guard. Yeah. And like it shows whenever it was something on YouTube, and it showed the fight scene in slow motion, and it's terrible. I didn't notice it, honestly. I didn't notice it in theaters, but like they're like swinging and like just swinging over Rey's head, and then like like Kylo Ren slashes at one guy, and it's like 4 feet away, and he like falls down like like it's I you don't notice. I didn't notice it in theaters, but like they showed it, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. And it might be the same if they do it with the Raid. I haven't seen it in slow motion, but it was just like what they actually do is so impressive. Like it's crazy. So yes, that maybe like I said, I was sitting there like kind of twitching in my like while I'm watching it, and like I wanted to get up and go to karate lessons then. Like
Hey, you happy, Bobby? I got rid of those trophies. I got those clackers now. Clack. Which fits the motif a little bit better anyway.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to end that poll because the Raid won that one. And we're going to jump to the next one. How many of these damn questions did we do? I know who's winning this one. Damn it.
Yeah. How close
Damn
are
it.
we?
Shit.
Uh, so yes, the better villain again. Like I said, heroes are defined by their villains. Like that's just how it is. There wouldn't be a Batman if there wasn't crime. There wouldn't be a Spider-Man if somebody, didn't kill Uncle Ben. There wouldn't be, all this stuff. Heroes are defined by their villains, and a random drug lord compared to Mama is just not a competition. Like she was, and that's like she. I wanted to see more of her character. Like the other guy, I didn't. I wanted to see more of Andy's character. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
see more of Mad Dog's character. I didn't. The other guy, I didn't care. I don't even remember his name. He's a big boss, but
He was not
uh,
important at all in that movie.
it
He's
was
like, he
no.
was not.
He did. Yeah, he and Bobby's right. One trophy at the end. We do the clackers, and then one trophy at the end. but the, he wasn't important. He was just a set piece, and but Mama was a character, and yeah, I like. They can make another Dredd prequel called The Rise of Mama, and I'd watch it.
Dude, I would absolutely, especially with
Yeah,
her. She's awesome.
and like she was just such a good villain. It's yeah. That's a
Like,
this is
yeah.
this is, this is one of the ones I said you got to put that one in there. I told Clint you got to put that one in there, and I was trying to weigh it towards Dredd because I was like the Raid's just gonna run away with this thing, but fuck.
Yeah, man, it's tough, man. But if you're talking about characters, I mean, there's not any. I mean, villains especially, like there's not any contest.
Right. Damn.
Sorry, I'm getting something ready here. I had to send something to the I had to send something to the my laptop from from my phone for production. This is called On the Fly Production. That's a good production company name, On the Fly Productions. So as far as villains go, I gotta go with Dredd. I hate to say it. We got 100% in the chat too agrees with us, which means that these dirtbags are. I really am. I feel like the Raid is the underdog, and I feel like it's the movie that I would rather watch again. I don't feel like Dredd has the rewatchability.
I mean, it does, but not nearly. Like I'm ready to watch the Raid again. Like I hadn't seen the or Dredd in a while, and a couple years or something. Maybe not that long, but I watched it again, and it was definitely rewatchable. But I'm ready to rewatch the Raid, like now. You could just definitely throw it on anytime, and it's gonna be good.
Let's see here. Well, I thought I added another clacker, and then it doesn't look like there's one, and I don't want to cheat.
No, yeah, Raid should have another one up there.
Are we tied?
No, Raid should be 2 ahead of the Raid. Dredd should be 2 ahead of the Raid.
Okay, so it's good. No, we're where we're supposed to be.
Okay.
Hold on just a second.
I can hold on for more than a second.
I think I just gave one of Dredd's points to the Raid.
I don't know.
I did because Dredd just won.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
I think Dredd should be 2 ahead.
I think you're right. What a bummer.
Bum, bum, bum.
It's gonna update here in a second. All right. I got to find a better way to do this. Better way to keep score.
It's working. It's working.
Hey, it's working. It's working. All right.
Yeah. This is round one, baby. Don't worry.
All right. We're going to find a better way to do this. We're going to find a better way. Also, I had big plans of having the list where I just copy pasted into the polls to where I didn't have to. I don't have to type them. I had this all planned out. I'm not supposed to give away my production secrets, but yeah, I was like, I had big plans. Make that one of your questions, Clint. Which one has rewatchability? That is an excellent question.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Because there's some movies I can watch 100 times, and there's some movies who are amazing. I just really don't want to see them again.
Well, before we get into this, let's ask that question. Which one? Before I want to do something here. We're gonna go back. Right. We're gonna go back to game time. We're gonna call this an on the fly question. Is what we're gonna call this because we're make that one of your questions. This is an on the fly question right here. Which is a great idea because now we can get questions from the audience and put them up there. So which one of these has better rewatchability? And I think we can all agree. The Raid? Would you rather rewatch The Raid or Dredd?
I would rather rewatch The Raid. Yes.
Me too. I feel like we're rigging the game because we want The Raid to win.
I mean, no. I really thought The Raid would be way ahead by now. And to be fair, Bobby hadn't seen The Raid. She said she's gonna watch it Sunday. I think she said.
Yeah,
and then like, it's not. The Dredd is a damn good movie. I don't want it to come across like we're just like down. It's a damn good movie.
Yeah, we're like, fuck Dredd. It's The Raid. Yeah, no, I like them both. I feel bad. I feel bad because I feel when I look at the score and I see Dredd ahead because it's the same story, except The Raid came out first, and then it's and then also Dredd had 45 times the budget. I feel like, hey man, we got to give the Raid some props, dude.
And Bobby says that's terms of endearment for me. It's like, man, that's such a good movie, but I just don't need to see it again. Yes, very much so. Like that's it was so good, but like if somebody's like, hey, you want to watch this? It's like, I'd rather watch some kind of bullshit. Like that is such a good movie. I don't need to see it again.
If we get any more questions, hit us with them. We'll throw them in. Yeah. Which movie deserves a sequel?
Well, see, here's the deal. So The Raid has a sequel. I have not seen it yet. By all accounts, it's the same movie, just not as good. I'm not saying that's what it is. If you have seen it and you're like, it's amazing. I have not seen it, but the people who have told me, they've told me it's the same movie, just not as good. I think it's got Tony Jaa in it and some other bigger names. But Dredd definitely deserves a sequel. Like these questions, Dredd definitely deserves a sequel. I don't know if Carl Urban would be down to do it. He's more famous now, but it's definitely a good enough movie that it should have a sequel.
It's an excellent question.
It should have been a franchise.
It's an excellent question because there is a definition of what The Raid should be. It's a movie called The Raid, so it has to be a movie about a raid, and also, its universe and whatnot is not that well defined. It's just kind of like That's a cop that goes in, or a team of police that go in and out. Now they did lay a little bit of a foundation for like being able to have maybe the brother running the criminal organization, and then he's got to go arrest his brother or something. You could have some kind of drama there.
Yeah.
And so you could get a sequel from that, but they're like, okay, how do we put this guy in a situation where he has to do some badass martial arts to get out? That's the concept of the movie. Is basically.
And the thing is, like, you could also say, like, does it need a sequel? Like, you said, his brother's running the crime thing now, and Bobby says the Raid had a sequel. It was Dredd. Like, exactly,
very true. Very
like,
true.
We could do the same thing again, like, but you could do different things with Dredd. You could do.
You could do anything with
Yeah.
Dredd. You could be like, hey, the entire system has become corrupt, and the judges are killing people that for no reason, or they're not supposed to, and the only one that knows is and the partner who's psychic knew about it, and they killed her for that. And Dredd's going to go back and kill everyone to get even for the loss of his partner or something. There's a million. That was good.
Like that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's a million ways you could go with Dredd. It doesn't have to be, hey, we're trapped in a building. Hey, we're trapped in a like. Even though that's a fun concept. So as much as I want to give it to the Raid, as much as there's 2 or 3 sequels to the Raid, and there's no sequels to Dredd, I think Dredd deserves a sequel.
It definitely deserves one.
Woo! All right. This sucks. I really want the Raid to win. No, I don't. This biased show. Okay.
But anybody who's listened to us, like, it probably agrees with the questions, and they're like, God damn it, Dredd, Dredd deserves lead right now.
I mean, they do. Like, the questions, we're being pretty fair about everything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's not like we're like, okay, which one is just straight up more badass? Okay, the Raid wins. Like, but
and for those who are listening and not watching, or so far we are 7 points for Dredd and 5 points for the Raid. So let's see. And on the sequel, did you decide that that Dredd deserved a sequel more?
Yes,
okay,
very much. I would love to see a sequel of Dredd.
We outvoted the chat on that one. Yeah, Dredd. Oh. So you were outvoted 2 against 1. She's like, Dredd? Yes, Dredd. Dredd because
not Judge Dredd. Dredd.
Dredd, yeah.
I'd love to see a sequel to Judge Dredd as well. Like, I'd be fine with that.
With Sylvester Stallone?
And Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
And then Carl Urban comes in and kills them all.
Yeah, have it be in a... They could do... there hasn't been any good multiverse movies in a long time. They could do some multiverse movie where...
What is this multiverse you speak of?
Maybe like a time travel movie. Nobody's really done anything like that. Like,
No.
And so you could do that. And you could bring in a different Judge Dredd in these from 2 different universes or time loops. You know what I mean? Like, since we're speaking of original ideas, yeah, dude, I'm so multiversed out. It's hilarious, and it's not. Don't get me wrong. I can't wait to see Doctor Strange or the Flash if it ever comes out. But it's hilarious because you've got Doctor Strange multiverse, you've got the Flash multiverse, you've got Star Wars basically having like a multiverse with time with the world between worlds that can time travel. Then you got time travel happening in Star Trek right now. Then I just saw a movie with Michelle Yeoh about a multiverse. That was fantastic. One of the best movies I've seen in a long time. Yeah, it's fantastic. But it's just hilarious. I'm like, dude, we get it. Multiverses are awesome. Like, how many multiverse movies and things are we going to have? It's really hilarious. And we're going to look back on this, and there'll be memes about it where we're going to be like, remember 2022, I almost said 2012, 2022, the year of the multiverse. It was like when we had songs on the radio with whistling as the hook. Yeah, it was like a year where every song, I'm like, wow, dude, every song has a whistle in their chorus. What the hell? What year is it again? Sorry,
they're gonna look back and be like, they wanted to get out of the pandemic so bad they created other universes for like 10 years.
That's how you get out. That's how you do it. We just wanted a multiverse. Let's see here. Get rid of that question. And that's it. That was the last question.
Oh, snap.
So I'm feeling sad here.
I'm not sad. I'm just surprised.
I'm
not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I am disappointed too. We've got. I'm like, no, I don't want it to be over. I put the question back. I was like, no, I don't want it to be over because I want the raid to win. But guess what, folks? It's not about what I want. It's about the winner. It's about who the winner really is, not about who I want the winner to be. You know what I'm saying?
That's the way love goes, babe.
Yes, and so that basically means the winner is.
Yeah, it's not like we made a bunch of fairly generic questions. You know, it's not like and then like I said, I actually threw a couple to Clint like to kind of pad it for Dredd. But it's not like, they were like Dredd specific, like who was the best villain. I knew Mama was the best villain, but I was like, Dredd's got to have a stake in this fight. I didn't see it coming down this way, honestly. Like it's just like a bunch of we just came up with a bunch of generic questions and like
we just kind of shook
the dice.
Yeah, shook the magic 8 ball to get our questions, and this is what we got. And now the winner is. Drum roll. That's a really slow drum roll. Super slow drum roll. Man. And the winner is Dredd. Ba-ba-bum, ba-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum,
You're the best around.
Yeah, the winner is Dredd. Ow!
The judgment has been made, and Dredd is the winner.
That's right, folks. The winner is Dredd. We asked a bunch of questions. We got a bunch of answers. And the winner is Dredd. But both of those movies are fantastic movies. If you're a karate movie, that's such a generic. Man, I like karate. I do that because I like to mess with my friends who do different jiu-jitsu and judo and different art forms. And if you say to a friend who is serious about their art form, my brother's a kung fu guy, but if you say, hey, man, I really like your karate, you're really good at that, they're like, oh God, it really hurts their feelings. They really can't handle it. So I'm in the habit of saying, yeah, man, karate lessons. But yeah, if you really want to see an amazing martial arts movie, check out The Raid. It's fantastic. It's action packed. You do not get bored in that movie. If you want to see an interesting sci-fi movie, a little bit dark, intense, serious, with some fun shoot 'em up stunts and suspense, and it's gross and it's visually beautiful to watch, check out Dredd. It's a fine film, and it's got a great cast, and it was fun too. Both movies came out around the same time, 2011 and 2012, and I always forget about Dredd, and I haven't rewatched it in a long time, so I'm glad we got to do that. So there you go. What do you think?
And yeah, well, we're not saying by any means which one is the better movie, but like I mean, apparently from what we've just gone through, uh, the all around, like the better all around movie, or like it might not be your favorite movie, or like the
It
to
just
use
won the game. It just
specific better movie, but like kind of all around, like it's a better movie. But plenty of things are all around better. Doesn't mean they're like better.
pretty much to make it on this show. It's either got to be some kind of thing like Halloween revamped versus Halloween the original or something, or it's got to be a couple of movies that we really liked and we just want an excuse to watch the movie and talk about it. So I mean, you know what I mean? If it could have been, we could have done this show Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone versus the Dredd with Carl Urban, and that could have been a version of this show. We just wanted an excuse to watch The Raid because it's badass, and so we did it this way, So there you go. So both of these movies are fine films. Check them out if you haven't. Crouching Tiger is a good one. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean that seems like that movie's not that old, but I guess it is older now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Be worth a rewatch.
It is. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap this show up, and if you want, and then I'm going to restream this again in just a minute, and then we can BS live stream just freestyle for a little bit and hang out. And if anybody wants to, so I'm going to end this stream, and feel free to jump back up into the stream with us while we hang out. And I'm cutting this off just because I want to keep these shows concise, because it is what it is. We just did our show versus, and then now we're gonna do what I call the after party. So the versus after party will resume here in just a second. So if you guys are still hanging out, Bobby, you want to hang for a minute, and we're not going to be beholden to any question game show format. We'll just be hanging out. So here we go. After party coming soon. So guys, hit that subscribe button, and if you haven't yet, and we're gonna see you every Friday. So thank you guys, and we will see you soon. Boom.